Hi, everyone. My name is Star, and I'm an American living in the English countryside. First, I want to say thank you to everyone who is supporting our YouTube channel. And I added a short the other day to explain why we've been so MIA, and it's because I've been in the hospital for 19, 20 days in the past few weeks, and so because of that, a lot of you have asked me to do an updated NHS review. So I gave it some thought and I think we should do it. So let's do it. um, Ignore the clutter behind me. I'm actually, still recovering, and I believe in authenticity, and this is just life right now. So I'm doing the best I can to catch up from being in the hospital. So basically, what happened is my gallbladder got infected and it needed to come out. And so this is something I started having gallbladder attacks last September. We didn't realize they were gallbladder attacks. And I went into the hospital several times, and I'm just going to be like really upfront with all of you because we're all adults here, right? So let's just be upfront. They said, it was like constipation, right? However, I mean, waking up in the middle of the night, like writhing in pain, crying, screaming, I kind of feel like I should have caught on to that. But when, I don't think like any purposeful mistake was made in that, in that diagnosis. And that's where we landed. So that went on until probably April or May, and then I got to the point I probably went to A&E a few different times, and then kept getting sent back home saying it was constipation. So you feel pretty silly, and you don't want to waste like their precious time because they need to save people. So then when I get the attacks, which were occurring like I'd say once a month, they always occurred around right in the middle of the night. That's, if you read about gallbladders, that's typically when it happens, because that's like when the fat is being processed the most, I guess, in the gallbladders while you're asleep. So I quit going in. I was able to get through attacks, and in my head I'm thinking, oh, this is constipation or whatever. And I also never thought I'd be on YouTube talking about constipation, but here it all is. And so I was able to take, medication, and I kind of had this like terrible habit of like stumbling out of bed, and I try to stay asleep because the pain was so immense. And I had like things like naproxen and Buscopan, and that was really it actually. And then I would take that, and then I get in bed and I close my eyes and just try to get back to sleep as soon as I could. So that happened 4 to 6 times because I didn't want to go back to the hospital at that point because I'm thinking it's constipation, and um, you know, it, I'm tired. No one wants to have to go to the hospital, at 2 a.m. So that's where we landed. When I went to America in July to visit my family, I actually had an attack with my mother, and I was able to take the medication I mentioned and was able to fall back asleep, thank goodness, because I no longer have insurance in America, and I would be out probably like 10K plus if I had actually gone to the emergency room in America during that attack. So that was like a very much like in my face experience of how I live now as an American in England, and the privilege and gift that I have of the NHS. Now, with this attack, it was different. Um, it was different in that I couldn't keep the medicine down. And I think we all know what that means. So I think you say sick, and us Americans say we threw up. And so I took the medication. I got my husband to get it. I couldn't get out of bed. And normally I can do that. And it just, blah. And so I was like, you've got to get me, you've got to call, 999, because without any medication, I can't get through this. So I had a scheduled ultrasound where my GP confirmed the gallstones. And then my last A&E visit, where I felt really silly and didn't want to waste anyone's time, they discovered the gallstones. And that's why I later told my GP, hey, I think like they found this. I didn't know anything about the gallbladder until this entire incident. So it's been a big learning curve for me. And the fact that like they knew gallstones existed, I think really advanced some things, because this was an attack. The gallbladder had become so inflamed that the attack wouldn't end. So typically an attack can, take several hours, or so, which is what I had experienced in the past. And this attack, I mean, we could not get my pain under control. So because they had the evidence with ultrasound, I was then sent to the surgical assessment unit, which they were just so lovely. And I just started crying when they told me like, yes, it's your gallbladder, it needs to come out. Because when you're struggling with pain like this for over a year, and it's just to know that like there might be a light at the end of the tunnel is just special. So I got that news and they admitted me into the hospital. And so I was at hospital for 11 days. I was on the emergency list. So what that means is that the emergency list means that basically they will get to you quickly unless a bigger emergency comes in before you, which is what I would want them to do. If someone's like about to die, I want them to take care of them, right? They prepped me for surgery 3 different times in those 11 days, and bigger emergencies would come in at the last minute. It's a major difference. We were able to then get me on the elected list. Now, the elected list is very interesting to me in this country, because the elected list, so you have your emergency list and you have your elected list. The elected list kind of reminds me of the US in the way of like, from what I understand, it's very rare for them to cancel your surgery once you make that list. So I've been on the emergency list, admitted for 11 days, prepped 3 times, no surgery. I got moved to the elected list. They said I'd have it on Tuesday. I had the surgery on Tuesday. So that's very interesting to me, how that works. It's just different, So I did get the surgery. It went really well, as far as I could tell. There was a crisis for beds. I was actually supposed to stay in the hospital for 11 days, or excuse me, 36 hours minimum. And there was a bed crisis, and they were moving tons of patients to like the day surgical area. And that was a little confusing and stressful, because I had counted on what they had told me in the rest, and I have children and things like that. And luckily I had a driver, but they were going to cancel my surgery if I didn't have one. And just thank God I had that in place. And I can't imagine if they had canceled that surgery. I cannot imagine it. So from there I went home and was doing really well. Started having attacks again, as if as if I had a gallbladder essentially. And the ambulance was called. I couldn't get off the couch, and I was returned to the hospital. Because of the bed crisis, I was admitted to the gynecology ward, and they were doing this for a lot of patients because there weren't beds in the proper surgical wards. So I was in there, and they treated me for pain. I had severe, severe pain. And honestly, I think that's a plus for the NHS. I really do. I think America has gotten so fearful of opiates that when you really need them for pain, they are so hesitant. So I was treated for immense pain. There were some incidents that occurred that were unfortunate. And I'm such a believer in the NHS. I think you are so blessed to have the NHS. And I think I'm blessed to be here to be able to use it. but this is a part of the review, and I feel like I can't leave this part out. So while I was in that second hospital stay, it was an 8-day stay. I was put on a bunch of medication, and at the same time, I was put on. I was not given. I take some regular medication daily that will make you sick if you don't take it, and that unfortunately was messed up the first time for 4 days, whereas then doses were completely missed or mismeasured, and that I believe led to like me staying 50% more in the hospital. It was a big mistake, and I can't really just, I can't sit here and make excuses because it's such a it should have never happened. If this had happened in America, anywhere, I'd be saying this. So I feel like it has to be said. I told them that got straightened out for about a day, maybe two, and then the same mistake happened again. And during this period of time, I started, related to other factors. Of course, this also didn't help. I started passing out for about 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes at a time, about 6 to 7 times a day. So at one point, I woke up and had oxygen on me, and they thought I was having cardiac arrest. It was really rough. And, I'm really grateful to the care I was given. There were some incredible nurses, incredible doctors, really incredible. And, you know, everyone's trying to help. I don't understand about the medicine, my medication not being given to me accurately. And it's a shame just because we were experimenting at the time, with the pain medication to see is my blood pressure a problem, that's more than like that could be a bigger issue. But because my medication, my normal medication was messed up consistently over and over again, we couldn't get an accurate reading. So here I am, like with children, and Jordan was out of the country. Now, thank God Jordan got back as soon as he could, because it was a very scary time. And then I got to the point where I wanted to go home because it scared me so bad when the medicine was messed up the second time. And I just didn't feel safe. And I felt like I needed to manage my own medication at that point, in which a doctor got pretty involved and urged me to stay. And I did so because I am a huge fan of the NHS. I really, really am. And like I said, I think it is a gift to your country, and I wish my country had something like it. So now I'm home. I'm resting. I'm on the mend. We got it figured out. I think it was more medicinally based with the passing out. I was on way too many. Honestly, I'm not. It's hard to know what to say, what to not say on here. I was on way too many medications for the pain. And then with me not having my daily medications that I'm supposed to have, that just couldn't have helped the situation. So I'm now home. I'm doing a lot better. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. I hope that you can hear the gratitude in my voice for the NHS in this. There's no anger in my voice. There's not me picking on anybody or blaming anybody. This is just facts and a review of what happened to me. With the bed crisis, I didn't see a doctor afterwards, after the surgery. That might be normal here. That was different. I'll say different from the US. You would see a doctor afterwards and they'd say, oh, the surgery went well or not. I was in surgery about an hour and a half longer than they told, as they told my mother I would be. So I was really curious. And then another patient that I'd met prior to the surgery, unfortunately had a long waiting time, and her gallbladder had fused to her liver, which was very scary and painful for her. And that was a fear, I think, for me. Luckily, thank God, I didn't have that. But the waiting times because I think I learned a typical patient typically waits about 4 months for gallbladder surgery, but I think I was pretty urgent. Once again, I'm not judging or anger. I'm just saying what I've learned and what happened to me and what's different and things I noticed. And I mean, I do think that there's no excuse for messing up my medication because that's their job. But I also think that can happen anywhere in the world. It's just unfortunate period that it happened. So with that, tell me your thoughts. I hope that you can hear my heart in this and how much I care about all of you. This is difficult, because this is an organization that I really admire, and I now I definitely understand some people who have expressed concerns and frustration. I don't get involved in that because I'm not a citizen of your country and I don't feel like it's my right. But I'm certainly happy to listen. So, with this, I can't wait to hear from all of you. I'm going to go back to resting now, and we've got more videos coming your way, much more lighthearted videos, I promise. But I wanted to get this out here to you and let you know where I've been and where we've been and what's been happening, because it was very scary for a family. And I mean, we're not even a whole week out of it. So with that, I'll talk to you all later. Peace out.